If you're confused over why the movie Dear You has created such a huge debate in Singapore, watch on so you'll finally understand why Jet Neo's Hokkien movies didn't create such a big debate, but China Teochew movie does so. So, if you are free to watch movies, you'll know that Dear You is indeed a great movie. But if you have not, then you need to know what it is first. So, what is Dear You? Dear You, or 给阿嬷的情书 in Chinese, is a movie from China. But this isn't just a blockbuster movie from China. It's a sleeper hit, which means it's a low-budget movie with limited marketing. But because it's so good, it went on to become a box office hit. However, here's the thing, unlike other box office hits, which are usually in Mandarin, this movie is shot almost entirely in Teochew, which is already very rare for a commercial movie. And because the movie centers heavily around the history of Chinese migrants traveling to Southeast Asia, it has felt incredibly relatable to viewers in Singapore and Malaysia, even though the film itself is completely a product of China. Now, if it's just a movie, so why the hoo-ha? You see, Dear You opened in Singapore cinemas for the general audience on 18 June 2026, but not in its original Teochew version. This version for general release was dubbed into Mandarin, while the original Teochew version was initially limited to just a handful of special screenings. It's because in Singapore, Chinese films meant for general theatrical release should be generally in Mandarin, and dialect films are allowed only on a case-by-case basis. But why? You see, the Mandarin-dubbed general release was to support Singapore's bilingual policy. The same rationale behind the Speak Mandarin Campaign, which was launched in 1979 to establish Mandarin as the common language among Chinese Singaporeans instead of different dialects. Later I'll tell you more about the Speak Mandarin Campaign policy, but just know that it's because of this policy we don't hear much dialect in mainstream television or radio in Singapore. And to be fair, the campaign worked very well in fact. The percentage of Chinese households using dialects as their primary language crashed from 76% in 1980 to just 7% in 2025.
Oh, so you Singaporean Chinese Mandarin must be super good then?
什么在上面瘦猫？呀啦，我们的华语 not bad one。哎，你要喝鸡汤吗？ But that's a joke lah. Social media influencers might show that our Mandarin is not good, but in reality, there are actually many Chinese Singaporeans who can speak perfect Mandarin. Anyways, by now, you should be wondering, how come Jet News long time ago can have all that kampong dialect then? You see, the policy is not so strict now lah. Singapore has permitted unrestricted screenings of films with substantial dialogue before, like 881, long time ago, and Wonderland. And that about 30 to 40 dialect language films are screened at local films festival every year. In other words, the rule was never a total ban. It's a case-by-case system, and these local firms made it true. And so, after Dear You was released in Mandarin instead, Singaporeans suddenly are interested in Teochew movies. If you are looking to advertise your business in this channel, we can help you. There are guaranteed views and many big brands have trusted us. Just click on the link in the description. When Dear You's distributor applied to show the original Teochew version, and the first two batches of 8 screenings, 9,600 tickets in total, sold out completely. And then, Singaporeans were not happy that the dubbed Mandarin version was released, and wanted the original Teochew version instead. Even filmmakers jumped in. Veterans Eric Khoo and Jet Neo publicly questioned whether the Speak Mandarin campaign rules are still relevant today. Therefore, an unprecedented 50 additional screenings were approved, and when 40 of them went on sale on 29 June, all 14,000 tickets were gone in under 3.5 hours. As of time of recording, a total of 272 screenings of the Teochew version has been approved, and there might be more if there are demand. So, is it a nothing burger since the Teochew versions are now available as well? Apparently not, because now the 47-year-old Speak Mandarin campaign is now being debated instead. On 7 July, the Saga officially reached Parliament, with MPs from both the PAP and Workers' Party asking questions. You see, the key question is this: do we still need to kind of ban dialects, especially so in films, given that the Speak Mandarin campaign has worked so well that many of us Singaporeans don't even know how to speak a full sentence of dialect? After all, an NTU online survey of about 600 respondents showed that 95% agree that the government should loosen dialect restrictions in media, and 92% said they prefer to watch dialect content in its original undubbed form. Well, the authorities are reviewing the film guidelines, especially on the use of dialects, saying that there is scope to expand the space for dialects, but in tandem with continuing to uphold the importance of Mandarin. You see, interestingly, the use of dialects is not restricted in online platforms. So why in film? Apparently, films are more like mainstream, so it's slightly different. But even if there's going to be any change, it'll be gradual and not just a fast change lah. Also, adding on, Acting Minister for Culture, Community and Youth, David Neo, said that the Speak Mandarin campaign itself has evolved from promoting Mandarin as a common language to strengthening appreciation of Chinese Singaporean cultural identity, and that dialects are increasingly seen not as a competition to Mandarin, but as heritage. I know all this sounds very cheap, but basically, the authorities are looking into the firm classification guidelines on dialect use, and even if there's any change in the language policy, it will be gradual. Now, so what is the Speak Mandarin campaign? That itself deserves a video of its own, so you can watch this video to know more about it. Also, if you want to advertise with us, even as a standalone video, do contact us. Our website is in the description, or you can scan this QR code. Thank you for spending almost 5 minutes with me. I really appreciate it and hope you learned something.